All right. So some of the top prospects. I paused. All right, everybody. Well, welcome to Higa's Playbook, the show that talks about sports, dating, and all things life as a Seattle girl living in the Bay. Whew, I feel like it's been a while, and I feel like, NFL people do not get a break because this week is the NFL Combine. For those who don't know what the NFL Combine is, it is pretty much physical fitness test day for the college athletes who are declaring to enter the NFL draft. It is located, they have it always in Indianapolis, in Indy. I'm not going to even try to say Indianapolis. It's in Indy, and this location has not changed since 1987, the year that I was born. So I think they're going to keep it there for the long term. But a couple of things, you must be invited to this combine. Obviously, you got to be a top prospect in college football, and you have to be invited. So it's kind of a big deal. You get this cool uniform, you got to run a 40. We'll go through all the events and stuff that are happening. But essentially, it is a fitness testing day. I don't know if you remember that, but in elementary school for me, we had the fitness test. There was sit and reach, certain yard dashes, stuff like that. We even had the broad jump, or we called it the standing long jump. So we'll go over the events in just a minute. But you must be invited. There's NFL scouts from every single team there who have their little timers, checking your 40 and XYZ. And then colleges also host their own pro day. So if you did not get invited to the NFL Combine, each college also hosts a pro day, which scouts go to those as well. So for those who don't know, I used to train out of a sports performance facility in Bellevue, and we had a draft class every single year. And we prepped them for either the combine if they were invited or the pro day. So I've been around a lot of these athletes training for these events, and I'm kind of excited to talk about it. Do I think it's interesting that we are testing athletes on certain events while they play a sport? Yeah, I just think it's interesting. It might be a hot take, but we'll get into it. Okay. So it's this weekend in Indy. The schedule goes as follows. On Thursday, it's the D-line and also the linebackers. On Friday, it's the DBs and tight ends. Saturday, the wide receivers, running backs, and quarterbacks will go. And then on Sunday, it's the O-linemen. So each day will be a specific position that will perform all the tests. So these are the list of events that are going down. Obviously, we have that 40-yard dash, bench press for 225 for reps, the vertical, the broad jump, the 20-yard shuttle, the 3-cone drill, the 60-yard shuttle. Each team is allowed to conduct 60 interviews at 15-minute intervals. They also have physical and injury evaluations. They have drug screenings. They have this cyber test, which apparently is a flexibility and range of motion for your joints test. And then they also have this Wonderlic test. I don't even know if I'm saying that right, but it's pretty much an IQ test, 50 questions. And you get 12 minutes to answer these questions. I was looking at past scores of quarterbacks, and I don't know why, but it was mostly quarterbacks that had their scores up. And just to give you an example, Patrick Mahomes is out of 50. Patrick Mahomes got a 24. Tom Brady got a 33. Colin Kaepernick got a 38. Russell Wilson got a 28. Andrew Luck got a 37. But the person who scored a perfect score on this Wonderlic test was Pat McInley, who was a punter for the Cincinnati Bengals from 1976 to 1985. He had a perfect score, and I'm pretty sure he's the only person to this date that has had a perfect score on that test. So if you were wondering what goes down for the combine, it's not just physical tests. There's a little IQ test, interview, XYZ. So yeah, I don't know. My hot take on this is that, it's interesting that you're having these athletes do these tests when, yes, it's great to see how far they can run. Yes, it's great to see how much weight they can push, but really determining or really using the fact that somebody can bench 25 reps at 225, I don't know. My experience, it's funny when guys would come in and do their initial testing when they're joining our program for the combine group, There were guys coming in that could not even do one rep of 225. And yes, they improved, and yes, they got stronger over the next like 8 to 10 weeks, depending on when their pro day was. But benching 225 is not going to determine if you catch the ball. You know what I mean? So I understand like having some sort of baseline of what you should run. All the drills and stuff that even the receivers have. I feel like the drills are a better indication of how they can perform. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I get it, but I don't get it. But anyways, yeah, that's what's going down this weekend. I'm probably only going to I love watching the DNs because those boys can move. It's crazy how fast and how athletic some of these defensive tackles are. And then obviously I want to watch like the quarterbacks, the receivers, and them do those drills as well too. So my days, I'm probably going to be watching like Friday, Saturday maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so some of the top prospects for certain positions of the draft. We got top quarterbacks. Caleb Williams from USC. I think he's super athletic. I think he's going to do really well and perform really well in this. Jaden Daniels of LSU. Drake May from North Carolina. I hope that's what it stands for. Bo Nix at Oregon. JJ McCarthy at Michigan. And obviously I'm going to give honorable mention to Michael Penix Jr. from University of Washington. He was actually number 6. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they perform because, it's like if you're not a good test taker, which I have never been a good test taker. The pressure's on. So I guess this is a good indication of how they can compete with each other. Yeah. Running backs. Jordan Brooks of Texas. We also got Jalen Wright at Tennessee. Trey Benson from Florida State. Marshawn Lloyd from USC. And Tyrone Tracy Jr. from Purdue. Top 5 wide receivers. We got Malik Neighbors from LSU, Marvin Harrison Jr. from The Ohio State, Rome Odunze from University of Washington, Brian Thompson Jr. from LSU, and then Troy Franklin from Oregon. So we're seeing obviously lots of repeats. I feel like this is a common thing, right? You see lots of Ohio State, lots of LSU. Lately it's been a lot of Oregon and even University of Washington, which has been super cool to see. D tackles, we got Byron Murphy, the second from Texas, Tivondre Sweat from Texas as well, Jerzon Newton from Illinois, Chris Jenkins from Michigan, and then Brandon Fisk from Florida State. Again, I'm excited to see these D tackles and how they move. I love watching them just run their 40 because some of these boys be running like a 4.5, 4.6, which is insane for a D tackle. Linebackers, one of my favorite groups. We got Junior Colson from Michigan, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. from Clemson, Edgerrin Cooper from Texas A&M, Peyton Wilson from NC State, and then Steele Chamber from The Ohio State as well. Overall, these were the top 5 overall picks, and they were just graded. I don't know how they were graded exactly, but this is what the top 5 and how they're going to perform in the combine. We got Malik from LSU as a receiver, Marvin Harrison Jr., Ohio State receiver, Caleb Williams, the quarterback from USC, Brock Bowers, a tight end from Georgia. I didn't touch on the tight ends, but we got Brock Bowers, and then Rome Odunze from Washington, receiver. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Like I said, combine to me, it's a very exciting time. I think when I was involved in it a little bit more and I was a lot more behind the scenes and watched the process and watched how hard some of these athletes worked, it was very exciting. But you just never know how they're going to perform, right? So good luck to all the college athletes that are at the combine because it's a really cool opportunity, and I hope everybody does really well. The draft is not until April, so we will touch base with the draft and hopefully have one of my friends who is an NFL agent come chat with us because it's a very interesting time in the process, and I think we forget that it's a business, and so it'll be cool to touch on that later this month. All right, enough football talk. Let's talk reality TV, shall we? All right. I don't know if you all been watching. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. Maybe you've seen a bunch of TikToks, but Love is Blind has been a hot topic of discussion lately. What I love and hate about Love is Blind is that they release a certain amount of episodes every single week. One night, not gonna lie, I stayed up until 5 a.m. watching the first group of episodes. I think it was like 4 to 5 episodes. I stayed up until 5 a.m. watching these episodes because it's definitely one of those shows that they always leave you with a little cliffhanger, right? So you have to watch the next one, right? You can't go to bed. You have to watch the next one. My overview, if you've never watched Love is Blind is pretty much, you have two sides, and then they talk to each other through a wall. So they can't see what each other looks like, aka Love is Blind. So they have to really talk to each other, communicate, get to know each other, and just communicate, because I feel like a lot of us don't know how to communicate nowadays. So you kind of get things out there quicker, but the timeline is insane. They're literally in these pods for like a week, and then they go on their honeymoon with the other couples, which is kind of cool, but then everybody gets to see what everybody else looks like. So if you had a connection with somebody, but you didn't choose to propose or be engaged to them at the very end, you still end up seeing these people, which becomes crazy. But so they go on this honeymoon, and then they move into an apartment, like a mutual apartment together. And then you pretty much get married in the next 3 weeks. So it's pretty much like a 4 or 5 week process that you meet somebody, you go on a honeymoon, and then you got to decide at the altar or even before the altar if you want to marry them or not. So that's pretty much what Love is Blind is. Crazy, because when they had him in Seattle, I did get hit up on Instagram to ask if I wanted to be on the show, but I had a boyfriend at the time, so I didn't go through it. Would I go through it? Would I have done it if I didn't have a boyfriend? Absolutely. If you didn't do the math from when I was born in 1987, I'd be like, why not? Like, what do I have to lose at this point? All right, so some of the surprises from this season. Ooh, okay. So I made a list of who I thought wouldn't make it till the end, and then who I thought would break up or not get married. My thoughts have changed so much ever since just lasting these last 3 episodes. So there's this couple, Kenneth and Brittany. We thought for sure that they were going to make it. They were so aligned, like family values, religion, which they're from North Carolina. So I think the South religion has a lot to do with, just religion in general. When you're in a relationship, you need to be aligned with that, right? It's very, very important. Kenneth surprised me. Yeah, his body language sucked. His communication after being in the pods sucked. He was just so rude and not empathetic or compassionate with Brittany, and she was so patient with him. She communicated. Everything she said to him, he would gaslight her. He would turn it around. If she mentioned something about her just not feeling the love, or her just not, feeling that connection, and he would be like, oh, well, I'm glad you're feeling like thank you for telling me that. Thank you for telling me that you're not feeling like this, when that's not what she was saying at all. And this is what he would be doing the whole time. Are you good? Are you okay? Like, literally, that's what he would do. She was like crying, and so spoiler alert if you haven't watched it, but they already broke up. They made it like 2 days out of the pods, or out of the honeymoon. So that was done. Jimmy, I said this from the jump, but I thought Jimmy looked like a bootleg Christian McCaffrey. They didn't post that. They edited that out of the episodes because the girl that he ended up with, she said that she would get compliments that she always looked like Megan Fox. So he had this picture in his mind. Does she look like Megan Fox? No, but apparently he told her that he looks like Christian McCaffrey, but she didn't know who that was. So she didn't really have a face to put with that. But Jimmy changed. His reactions to certain topics that these girls brought up to him wasn't the best. And I think it's just because he's just a very nice guy. He doesn't really know how to communicate. And he's just kind of a doofus a little bit. Don't come at me for that. But yeah. And then Jeremy is a douchebag. Jeremy is one of those guys. It's just like, I'm always right. I'm an asshole. I'm a dick. Like, I just don't listen to other people, and I'm always right. That's who Jeremy is. And he tried to say he sent his location to his fiance, but he forgets that your Apple Watch tracks your location. So he left his phone in the car apparently, but then he drove to wherever that other girl was, and he got caught up pretty much. So the episode's just released, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, that's Love is Blind. The drama. I just love reality TV so much. The second show that I'm watching is The Bachelor. I wasn't really super into The Bachelor or Bachelorette. I kind of go in and out of when I actually watch these shows. But I'm watching the show because some people at work, we have a bracket, or it's like a fantasy league. So that's what's been going on. If you don't know what The Bachelor is, there's one bachelor and there's like 30 something girls from the jump. And then he has to like talk to all of them, get to know all of them. And then he cuts them down by handing them a rose. He is now he just finished, he's going to Hometowns next week. That's 4 girls. And then he goes and he meets their family, which is crazy. So this is pretty much what it is. It's The Bachelor. He's trying to find his lover. But some surprises that I've been seeing lately. Lexi was one of the girls. I thought for sure she was going to stay to the very end and probably be chosen at the very end. But his timeline and her timeline did not meet. She has a disease that the longer she waits to try to get pregnant, it's probably not going to happen. So her timeline was very different than his, which I totally understand. But another surprise that I have is this girl named Maria. Maria. Apparently she was a child actor, but yeah, she kind of threw Joey's the Bachelor. She threw Joey a little curveball and was like, I don't like seeing you with other girls. I just want you to choose me and XYZ. But then Joey's like, well, I want my person to be here until the very end because I know what this is all about. And she was like, I don't know if I can do it. She ran away crying. And Joey's like, is she coming back? She ended up coming back. He ended up giving her a rose, which was very surprising. But before the rose ceremony, they usually have a cocktail hour. So all the girls can talk to him and try to confess their love and try to convince him to give them a rose. They didn't have a cocktail hour. And he came back and was like, Maria, can I talk to you? And all the girls were like, what? But her response to whatever he was asking, it was not convincing to me. And I know that this show is very led by producers, and I'm not quite sure how much of it is like actually scripted, but he ended up giving Maria a rose, so she's going to meet his family. So next week is Hometowns. I'm really hoping for my top 2 are Rachel and Kelsey. Rachel and Kelsey are my top 2. Rachel's family, I just found that out. She's Filipino and Black, so it'd be interesting culturally to see how Joey blends in. And then Kelsey's Caucasian. But yeah, reality shows are super fun. TikToks are hilarious. So many hot takes, so many favorites. Let me know what you think, and let me know who your favorites are on these shows. All right. That's all I have for today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share. And that's all I got. Thank you for listening. That was Higa's Playbook. I'll see y'all next week. Bye.